So what is up, amigos? Hope you're doing awesome. Have you ever watched a film that didn't shout for attention, didn't have huge action set pieces or dramatic monologues, but still managed to hold your attention from start to end? Agnyathavasi, the Kannada film that has just released and hit the theaters, is that kind of a film. A story that begins quietly with the simplicity of a village and slowly unfolds into something much deeper. It doesn't promise a roller coaster, but it gives you a calm, suspenseful ride with moments that linger. And while it may not be everyone's cup of tea and doesn't scream for attention, it pulls you into its world slowly, steadily, and with surprising depth. So the year is 1997, a village in the Malnad region of Karnataka, a place untouched by modern chaos, where life moves at its own unhurried pace, where people know each other by name and silence is often more powerful than words. This is the world Agnyathavasi introduces us to. And from the first frame itself, you can feel that the filmmakers took their time with the setting. It doesn't just look like 1997, it feels like it. The sounds, the landscape, the clothing, the way people communicate, it's all extremely natural. There's no spoon feeding of nostalgia, just a quiet recreation of a time when stories traveled slower but emotions hit just as hard. You don't often see such immersive world building in modern cinema. It's not created through dialogue or exposition. It's created through tone, through mood, through small, quiet moments that show you what life was like back then without needing to explain it. At the heart of the film is a murder. Two, actually. One of a well-respected landlord, Srinivasaya, and the other of a much younger man, Rohit. In a village that hasn't seen crime for years, this kind of violence creates ripples. People whisper, suspicion spreads, and what starts as a single death turns into a layered investigation filled with secret. The way the story is told is non-linear, which means we don't see events as they happen in order. We go back and forth. We see the same incident from different characters' perspectives, and that keeps things engaging. There are no unnecessary twists, no forced shocks, just a steady stream of clues, conversations, and revelations that lead us to the eventual truth. And somewhere along the way, it becomes more than just about solving a murder. It becomes about understanding people, their motives, their regrets, their past mistakes. So talking about the performances, first let's talk about Rangayana Raghu. Honestly, this might be one of his most grounded performances in recent years. We're used to seeing him in roles that are loud, comical, or dramatic, but here he plays a man worn down by time, a police inspector who isn't a hero, but just a man trying to do his job in a system that moves slowly in this village. There's a stillness to his performance. He listens more than he speaks. He observes, and in that silence he says a lot. You begin to feel his fatigue, his curiosity, and eventually his empathy. It's rare to see such restraint in a performance, and it works beautifully. The supporting cast also deserves praise. Paavana Gowda plays her role with just the right mix of vulnerability and strength. Siddu Moolimani brings a certain honesty to his scenes that makes you connect with him instantly. Ravi Shankar Gowda, Sharath Lohiteshwar, everyone fits their parts well. No one tries to overact or steal the spotlight. They just exist in the world of the story, and that makes the film feel more real. Charan Raj's music in Agnyathavasi isn't designed to grab your attention. It's designed to support the film quietly, to underline the emotions without drawing focus away from them, and that's exactly what it does. The background score builds slowly, much like the narrative. It doesn't tell you what to feel, but it genuinely guides your emotions. Whether it's a moment of silence or a moment of grief or suspicion, the music adds just enough weight. There are a few tracks that stick with you long after the film ends, not because they're chartbusters, but because they're emotionally rooted. They belong to the story, and that's what makes them effective. Now, visually, the film is an absolute treat. Advaita Gurumurthy's cinematography captures the calmness of the countryside with a painter's eye. Morning fog, dimly lit rooms, flickering tube lights, the quiet long corridors, it all feels so real and unpolished in a very good way. Janardhan, Chikkanna's direction is very clear in its intent. He's not making a thriller that rushes from one scene to the next. He's telling a story that breathes, a story that unfolds like an old photograph being slowly developed. This isn't about showing off camera tricks or jump cuts. This is about telling a story with patience. And even though there are moments where I felt the pacing dipped slightly, I appreciated that the film never lost focus on its core narrative. Now let's talk about the climax. Now this is where I have mixed feelings, not in a negative way, but more from a place of expectation. The final reveal is decent, it wraps up the story, it gives closure, and it doesn't feel like a cop-out. But I'll be honest, I was expecting something more twisted, something more psychological, maybe a big emotional payoff or a final puzzle piece that completely flips your understanding of the film. You know, like in Chikkanna, where the end hits you like a punch and forces you to rewatch the entire film in your mind with new context. Agnyathavasi doesn't do that, and that's okay, because what it chooses to do is stay true to the tone it set from the beginning. It doesn't overreach, it doesn't try to be too clever for the sake of it. It simply tells its story, respects its characters, and walks away quietly. So where does that leave us? Agnyathavasi, it's a very sincere one, and in today's world of overstimulated, hyper-edited thrillers, that's a refreshing thing to experience. It has strong performances, a rooted setting, thoughtful writing, and a pace that allows you to sit with the story in the theaters. It's the kind of film you watch when you're in the mood to observe, not just consume, when you want a story to slowly pull you in instead of constantly shocking you with twists. If that sounds like your kind of film, go give it a watch. And even if it doesn't blow your mind away in the end, I promise it will stay with you in small, quiet ways. I do have a suggestion for the makers though. Please add subtitles. I understand Kannada very well, I can watch these films, but I think if there were subtitles in the film, you can also reach out to more non-Kannada speaking audience, bring in more footfalls into the theater to appreciate this beautiful film. So now you let me know what you thought of the film if you've already watched it. Did the climax satisfy you, or were you also hoping for something more complex? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if this review spoke to you even a little. Thank you for watching today. Bye bye.